So right now we're going to be talking about lists. So as you can see here, I have a simple list. Let's just say departments, probably like the people in my department, and then just say Davis, John, Michael, and Jerry. Let's just assume all these people are in that department. So now I can print department. As you can see, we have it printed down here. So like department follows the same indexing pattern as strings. So like let me just give this spaces. So as you can see here, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So like every item in the list has its own index. So if I want to print out something like John, I can have dipped square brackets just the way we do with strings, and we have a 1 here. So if I run this, oh my god, I'm sorry. If I run this, you're going to see John because that is on index 1. If you don't understand indexing, I recommend you go back earlier to this tutorial. You're going to see where I talked about indexing in the section where I talked about strings. So anyways, we have index 1 to be John. So for example, this index 1 is actually a string. So if we want to get like the last 2 letters of his name, that kind of thing, what we're going to do is, since we know that this one here denotes John, then the next thing we do is another square bracket beside it, and we're like -2 colon, which is just going to say, okay, -1 -2 gets from H to the end. So if we run this, you can see we have HN. So basically, you can be very flexible with these things. I recommend you just play around with them, and not only what I'm showing you here, and many other things that you can find out. Anyways, the next thing I want to show you is how to add something to this list. So if I want to like add a new user, or should I say a new student to this department, how do I do that? So what you're going to do is you do department dot append, and we're going to tell Python the value that I want to add to this list. So in my case, I can just say Kate. Let's just say Kate is a new student or something. Then if I go down here and print department, get that right, department, and if I run this, good to see we have Jerry Kate at the end. So Kate got added to this department. And I know you may be saying, why don't we do department here equals to department.append? Honestly, I don't really know, but that's just how Python is configured, such that you don't have to reset the variable every time like you add something to the list. So anyways, with all that done, we have seen how to like add somebody or something to the list. So now, how do we remove something from the list? So what we can do is department.pop, and there are actually 2 ways to remove an item from the list. You can either do it by index or by the value itself. So this way we're going to go with is by indexing. So .pop is basically going to say, okay, remove that particular index. So for example, if I want to remove Michael, I can just say .pop2, and if I run this, you can see Davis, John, and it skips Michael because we removed it, and we have Jerry at the end. So also, contrary to that, if we want to remove like the last element of the list, we can just do .pop without anything inside, and if we run this, you just see that it removes Jerry from the list. That aside, so I want to show you about the second way to remove items from a list. So for example, I have like 100 items in my list, and probably John is probably like the 80th item. I don't even know the index. So what I can do is I can just say the remove, and in the parentheses here, I'm just going to say John. If I run this, you get to see that we remove John from the list, even without telling it where exactly John is. So there are actually many things you can do with lists. I'm not going to be going through all of them. I'm just going to go through a few. So something I want to point out is, for example, we have, let's say we have Michael, and we have Michael again. So let's say Michael has a namesake in the class, and we want to remove Michael. So what Michael are we going to remove? Python by default is going to remove the first occurrence. So I can just say Michael, and if I run this, you're going to see that it skips the first Michael and gives us the last Michael here. So another thing I would love to show you is the sorting of lists. So in a list, you can sort the values in that list. So since our own is just letters, we can sort it, and we can just say department.sort, and this is just going to sort it in ascending order by default. So if I run this, you see it changes it to ascending order: Davis, Jerry, John, Michael, Michael. So if I want it to be in descending order, I can just come in here and say reverse equals to true, and if I run this, you get to see it gives us the other way around, which is in descending order. One other thing that I would like to point out is, what if we have a list and we don't want to be removing items one by one, we just want to empty the list? Well, actually what we can do is just department equals to square bracket, empty square bracket. As you can see, it's going to overwrite this first one. But alternatively, you can just say department.clear, And if I run this, you see that it does exactly the same thing, removes everything from the list. So there are many other functions you can deal with. You can see .count. This is just going to give you how many times one particular occurrence is in the list. So if we just use this and just put in Michael here, and if I run this, you get to see that Michael, oh my gosh, sorry, this one is actually supposed to be in here. So print department.counts Michael. So it's going to give us a 0 for some reason. Oh yeah, I got a typo there, Michael. And if I run this again, you can see it too, because Michael occurs 2 times. As I said, there are many other things you're going to use or you can use with this. I'm not going to be going through all of them. And the last one I'm going to touch for this tutorial is the extend. I'm actually going to just remove this from here. So if I have like 2 lists, let's just say department and department 2 equals to, and here let's just say we have Joseph. And over here, if I want to like add this particular list to the end of this list, all I can do is just say department.depth.extend department2. And if I run it, you get to see, oh my god, sorry, we have to print department again. So if I run it, you're going to see that we have Joseph at the end. So the extend is basically taking 2 lists and meshing them together. This same thing can also be done by, if I just remove this, I can just say department1, yeah, department plus department2. But this won't do anything, it's just add it and leave it dormant. So I can just say department equals to department1 plus department2. So if I run it, you're going to see it does exactly the same thing as the extend. And remember that thing I showed you with integers where we can do like numbers plus equals 1? Basically, we can also do it here. So we can say department plus equals department2. So it's just add it to the back there. It's just basically the same thing. So all that done, I think we should be done with this. Next one is dictionaries, and I'll see you then.